Hi there, just a quick one, just to help think a little bit about what it's going to be like for children with change coming. There's a lot of change coming. For some children, it's going back to school. For some children, it's thinking about going back to school very soon. For some children, it's not going back for school. For some children and young people, it's their friends are going back to school and they're not. And there's a whole bunch of emotions and things that are going to be going on for the children and young people at the moment around these changes that are coming up. So, what are we looking for? What can we do to help children and young people at the moment process and make sense of it? Fundamentally, I think it's really worth understanding just a little bit more about the brain. I talk a lot about the threat response and the triune brain theory, but this is another one that just is a very simple way of looking at what happens to us as humans as we go through a day, as we go through life. We can get quite overwhelmed with all sorts of experiences, and for some of us it can impact our sleep. For some of us it just makes us feel very full all the time. So how can we feel less full, and how can our children and young people feel less full? The right brain and the left brain. So the right brain, I tell the children and young people, it's a little bit like a Hoover. It sucks up information all day long. The information, the sensory information, the people that we chat to, the things that we pass by, the feelings that we have as we read something or as we see something, or the sudden emotions that we feel as we think of a memory, or the sense of loss, all of the stuff that we experience in an average day, it stays in our right brain unless we know how to move it to our left brain. A healthy person has an equal-ish right and left brain, and a piece of the brain called the corpus callosum that runs down the middle is really strong and healthy because there's a lot of communication between the right and the left brain. What that means is when you get overwhelmed, when you experience a lot of experiences, if you have time and skill to be able to move it from the right brain to the left brain, you'll be healthier, because essentially that means you're processing and making sense of your experiences rather than constantly feeling overwhelmed because there's no space to do that. As a human, we need time to process how we're doing and what happened today. That's why when you pick up your kid from school, you might say to them, "How was your day?" And very often they'll either give you very factual details of the day, or they'll say "good," because they don't have the words yet. It takes them till usually just before you want to turn out the light and you're desperately wanting to go downstairs for your glass of wine, and they are literally there and they go blah, 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 and they want to tell you everything. It's taken them that long before school and bedtime to process and make sense of it. And how they've processed it is through playing, is through being, is through watching a bit of TV. Their brains are going as they're processing their day, and then they're able to talk about it, and that's they're moving it from the right brain to the left brain. You know what it's like if you've been busy after a day at work and maybe your partner says to you, "So how was your day?" And you very often just go, "Yeah, all right." And later on you're able to go, "Well, actually this happened and I felt really annoyed with this, and this really made me sad, and I was so pleased with this." It takes a while to move sensory life experiences from your right brain to your left brain. If you don't have anyone to talk to, or if as a child or a young person you're just not used to doing that, you're used to internalizing rather than externalizing, all the information of the day can just become bunged up really in your right brain. And that can lead to a sense of toxic emotions because they're all just stuck there. They've never been thought about, processed and reflected. And that's when we can feel overwhelmed constantly. It can lead to all sorts of different behaviours. It can lead children to either act out, so they can be aggressive and emotionally volatile and annoyed and just spiky and fed up, or it can lead them to withdraw and want to give up and just stay in bed and be lethargic. And some of our little kids and some of our teenagers might show those behaviours at the thought of a change of going back to school or not going back to school. They might suddenly exhibit those behaviours which are they're moving out of the window of tolerance into a place where they're not happy and they don't know what's going on and they're feeling overwhelmed. That's their right brain feeling, I'm full. What can we do as adults? We need to help them move it to the left brain. We need to create a safe and emotionally safe enough place for them to be able to reflect and go, "Oh, I only want to go back if my friend's there. Or what if I have to eat that food? I don't want to go back because I'll miss you." Anything they can talk about and reflect on will enable them to feel less overwhelmed because they're moving it from the right or the left. It's not always about talking. get them to draw, to sing, to play, to dance, to do anything to get it out. Don't force them, that can go very wrong. Just provide an environment where they can reflect on how they're feeling and what's going on, and that will decrease their anxiety. And of course, they soak up all of our emotions when we're the primary caretaker. And so if we're feeling anxious about going back to school or not going back to school, they will suck on they just soak it all up from us. So a key factor, and I know it's difficult, is to take some time, even if it's a half an hour bath a day, even if it's, I don't know, anything, sitting in your car for 20 minutes, and just breathe. Write a mind map, write a list, paint, draw, sing, scream, get it out. Move your right brain from overwhelm to less overwhelm, because your nervous system will relax a little bit more, and then the kids and young people around you won't feel so tense. It's not what we say, it's who we are, it's what we hold, it's our nervous system that can enable another person to feel safe and calm. Just a little tip. I hope that helps in some way. Well done to all of you who are both professionals, teachers, working with children, childminders, all sorts of different people, and those of you who are caring for kids at home, carers, parents, grandparents. Well done for what you're doing. We can do this, and it doesn't have to cause long-term damage to children or us. Well done.